Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we have folks from all around the world here, some familiar faces from yesterday and some new people joining us. So welcome. Yesterday, Keenan showed us how to build an app in minutes using US government web traffic data. And so you could see the recap in the community forum, which we'll post the link in the chat and also on our YouTube channel. We also posted all of the questions and all of the answers from day one in the community thread. So if you want to check that out, go to community.retool.com and check out day one of AI Build Week. All right, so coming up today, we have Angelique, a developer advocate here at Retool. She will take us through building an app using Stripe, being able to predict churn risk. We have a lot of really great stuff coming up. We do have 2 more sessions coming up for AI Build Week this week. We have Keenan back again tomorrow. He'll show us how to take a spreadsheet and turn that into a fully functional app. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at the same time. And then for all of our EMEA folks in Europe, we actually have our enterprise solutions engineer, Alexis, who will walk you through building production-ready apps on top of your data. And so that is at 7 a.m. Pacific time or 2 p.m. GMT. So make sure you catch us then as well on Thursday for the final day of AI Build Week. All right, so hey, Angelique, pretty soon she will be going through today's demo, and then as is for all AI Build Week, it's meant to be a really interactive session. So, if you have anything to say, any feedback, any questions, let us know in the chat. She'll be going through kind of the demo first, and you can all follow along. We have resources that are posted in the chat. I'll be posting them again right once I'm off of here. And we have people behind the scenes helping to answer those questions. And also Angelique will be answering them live toward the end of the session. We'll have a big chunk for Q&A. So make sure you get your questions in either in the chat, in the Q&A feature here, or in the community forum, or on YouTube, wherever you're watching, we are listening. So, all right, to get us all started, where is everyone tuning in from? Yesterday, we had folks from all around the world. I'm here in the Bay Area. Angelique's in New York. Keenan's in Chicago. So let us know where you are watching from. And all right, looking forward to seeing your presentation. All right, Angelique.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. I'm really excited about today. I'm going to go ahead and actually just start sharing my information here. So, okay. Yes. Here we go. Okay, so welcome everybody. This is day 2 of AI Build Week. Okay, so I just kind of want to reiterate the same things that Sarah said, which is that this is a week of AI building, which means that we're going to be sharing some learning bits on how to be using AI inside of Retool. So somebody should be dropping a link soon, honestly, and you guys can check out the other ones. If not, check out Keenan's. It's really, really dope. And check out Keenan tomorrow. Now, as always, my name is Angelique Lavoy Torres. I'm a developer advocate here at Retool, and I'm very excited about today's topic because we're going to be doing some building a real-time churn dashboard in minutes. Okay, so actually, before we talk about Retool and all the capabilities that you might have heard in Retool Summit, I want to actually covering a little bit more about like churn and what that is really. Well, there's actually a number that keeps like subscription business owners up at night, and that is the average SaaS company loses around 4.2% of their customers every single month. That is a median churn rate across the industry. For a business that, let's say, makes like $1 million, that would mean $400,000, give it a take, that is literally walking out of the door. Like when you look at it percentage wise, you're like, whatever, it's not that much. We have business. But no, these are things that you can track. And so this is actually some of the statistics that, or like some research that was made in 2024. And it explains that it is a percent of 4.2, but it is distributed between two. You have the voluntary churn, which is 3.5%. And that is something that is mainly people choosing to leave, whether they're dissatisfied by the pricing, they don't like the UI, they're just not happy. So they have even like a cancellation date that is upcoming. Then you have the 0.7%, which is the involuntary churn. And these are customers that want to stay, but they have failed payments, they have expired credit cards, and then also they're having billing issues. So all these things are really signals that you can track and address, and you can see coming. So for some understanding of the section that we're going to be doing today, and with the time that we're given, I'm going to be covering the involuntary churn. I know, the 3.5% is a lot, and there's so much information, especially if you have really good like mock data or just like experimental data or even like real data that will make this very beneficial. However, given the constraints of time and how the building is going to go in this situation, I'm going to be tackling that 0.7%, which is still a lot. If you guys are interested in like seeing maybe like the voluntary churn or want me to do something additionally, I can hop on a Twitch stream or we can make another resource in the community forum. Just let me know. You can drop it in the chat, whatever you're interested in. Okay, so to actually get started with the information, I think many of you might be thinking, okay, well, yes, if I start going and like ideating how I can build this project, traditionally in Retool, that would look like looking at the Stripe documentation in this case, where I have my data. even though it's comprehensive, I still need to have some level of understanding. From there, I have to be like, okay, cool. I think I understand. Now I'm gonna do some queries. I'm gonna get, push, or pull some of them. You know, you can do your resource queries with that. Or you can be like, oh, I've received my JSON file. Now I have to normalize that data. Now I have to like configure webhooks, or I have to set up authentication. All of these things, right? Then need to be connected to a UI if you want something for your stakeholders to look at, or if you want some user input, depending on how you want to deal with that information. What I'm trying to say is that hours, it would take you hours if you are really expert with really using Retool and connecting to APIs. It can take you days if you're like learning as you go. Still can make it, you know. But I kind of want to introduce you another way that you can build on Retool now. So here it is. This is the AI assistance inside of Retool, which allows you to describe in plain English what you want. So let's take this example, right? You have, I want to build a customer churn prevention dashboard that uses @Stripe. And let's pause there. We can see that the stripe is actually in purple. This is an imitation of what it looks like on the platform. We'll show it in a second. And that is because as part of this AI assistance, you can mention resources that you have already set up in your platform. And so this is, I mean, this is nothing new, right? We know all the capabilities that Retool has the ability to connect to, whether it is Postgres, Databricks, Snowflakes, REST APIs, OpenAPI, OpenAI, like et cetera, et cetera. You can just set them up once as an organization and then mention it in your AI assistance. It's basically our API connection. And then it would be like, okay, create 3 queries, get one for the customers, get one for the subscriptions, get one for the invoices. And then you have another symbol here. And that is because this AI assistant has full context while it is generating and after it has generated. It knows the components, it knows the queries, it knows the connections all inside the application. Here in this example, I have already a table that I had named customer table. And so I wanted to take that exact table. The result will look something like this, which I mean, it's not bad at all, to be honest. Pretty awesome. So now we're looking at like, okay, we're expanding who can create and what type of builder can be making tools inside of Retool. Let's take another example. Let's say this one is like, show me customers with failed payments. Well, okay, cool. It has created a toggle where it now is highlighting only those specifically. Then let's be like, ooh, add a risk score based on billing signals. The AI builds the logic and then voila, a new very beautiful column that is also color coded, things that it has decided for itself. And something I want to say here is that every query written takes into account all of your permissions and will explicitly ask the user before running. So that would mean like once you have a query that pops up in this AI assistance, is going to say, do you want to pre-allow them like for the whole run, or do you want to allow them per resources, or do you want to be like always in the loop? And the thing is that, you know, in contrast to maybe some code generations, we're really telling you what the plan is. And we want you to be aware and not create complexity, but rather reduce that. Okay, then one last one. Make this dashboard be color-coded alerts, right? Okay, maybe. Superman colors. Okay, now, what I'm saying also here is that you're not really just writing boilerplate. You're not having to do this constant context switching between your documentation and your code editor. This AI assistant has full awareness of not only the app, but also of your, like, of the Retool documentation. So whatever questions you have about like, how do you do this, or what is this component supposed to do? You can ask that even if you don't have anything on the screen. Let's say that you do have something on the screen. Well, then you can ask, what is the application supposed to do? What is this interaction supposed to be creating or making? Again, it creates this capability of sharing it with other people inside your organization, makes collaboration easier. And we'll talk about it in a second, but it's about how you best build. And so, yes, now you can have conversations and your AI understands both your data and your intent. So I will be talking about a shift I'm going to be demonstrating that shift today. So welcome to the new era. This is Building with Retool. We know that Retool is here to provide you good, beautiful internal software, and you can create apps, agents, workflows with your LLMs your data sources or APIs, and deploy AI across your business. So speaking about the whole context switching, right? Well, what did I mean by this? Well, the whole way that you used to build and retool, if you're, I don't know, an expert user, doesn't go away. There's still the drag and drop. There's still the prompting. Well, this is the prompting and what it looks like now. This is actually over here where it says always ask to return queries. That is where you would check off that pre-approve that I mentioned about. And then at the same time, you have code. I'm not saying that like, oh, like now the only way to build on Retool is through prompting. No, 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 no. Like those capabilities are still there. And it's just a matter of, you know, building idea or transforming ideas into software depending on how you want to portray them, whether it is through chatting, whether it is through the canvas inside the IDE, you're never losing that flow, right? But I also do find transformative here is that it enables people who might not be traditional builders to build functional production ready applications. And this is huge. It opens up the door for many other builders. And in the sense that you might be an engineer and you're like, I want to be building my internal tools. Cool. Then make that JS file, make that like Python script on workflows, whatever works for you, works for you. Like customize it, do libraries, it doesn't matter, right? But we're also saying like not every single person at a company is an engineer. And sometimes the marketing person, the data team, the ops team might have some internal apps that they want to build, right? So this gives them the ability to not have code or coding knowledge as a barrier, but rather it is them as domain experts who really get to go in and just be building whatever is their problem, depending on how their knowledge fits in. So this allows the marketing person, the data analyst, somebody who works on supply and chain to know everything and build whatever they want. So what makes building in Retool different? Well, I like to point out a couple things in difference to what we are seeing right now in the landscape. I would say the first one is death to boilerplate. I mentioned it. I mean, like when you go to the other ones and then it's like a bunch of code that is given to you. And even as somebody who's technical, I might be reading and be like, this is so much. I don't know if there's ever an error or like an issue, I don't know how to go back rather than like just having to like read every single thing. And it might not be my coding style. It might not be like the way that I'm like accustomed to. So it's creating a lot of mountains of code and it often multiplies complexity rather than reduces it. Well, Retool was built with the idea of building, like being this sort of like these Lego building blocks, that compose blocks to create the perfect layer of abstraction. So with that said, you see these other softwares just kind of implementing AI because of the boom, let's be real about it. And then they might be a second thought. But the reason why it works perfectly with Retool is because it's the whole package. It's the whole platform. I'm not saying, oh, there's only a natural language interface. No, there's also agents that can orchestrate automated critical processes. There's also the Retool AI, which is a resource query that allows you to call whatever model you want, whether it is Retool manage or your own keys, and then like make whatever script you want it to do or whatever functionality. We also have vectors. What I'm saying is like you have different ways and they're there to complement what was already there rather than like substitute and make something a little bit more convoluted. Another one here is, I mean, this is nothing new. It connects to everything. Retool connects to your data and your tools that your business depends on. So whether that is a database, an API like Stripe, or an LLM that you choose, the data your business already runs on, which is important because these apps or automations that you're creating in Retool are composed against your actual schemas. So you have production ready without any rework. Here's another thing. I know that many of you maybe saw the Retool Summit announcement. And from there, we said that this is what really makes Retool an enterprise AppGen application. What does that mean? Well, for context, it is AI that creates apps and automations anchored in enterprise context. So your live data, your governance models, your security postures, and your deployment environments. It allows apps and automation generation into the enterprise environment itself. So for the first time, how I mentioned, you have the domain expert, right? Maybe somebody who might be aware of the technical aspects, but or like are just not technical at all. And this is somebody who just knows the information very well. And then you also have the engineering team, and they can all build together in the same platform against the same data with the same guardrails. That was too extra. Never mind. Not in disconnected sandboxes that might be like, toolbox or toy box, but something that is really like side by side on a real system that matters. Aha. So a couple of things that I want to say here about this enterprise app generation. You have that it means deploying on your cloud or in ours, so your data never leaves your stack. That keeps sensitive information in, access patterns, and controls stays inside your environments. It is secure by default. Every app automatically confirms to your org's SSOs, RBAC, the compliance policies, because the generation happens inside the platform, where the governance is actually defined in. And I mean, I think the other one gave the spoiler already, but you can configure source controls with GitHub to manage changes using pull requests, pushes, commits. You just have to create the repository for the source control to use and then configure the GitHub app for your Retool instance. So let's build. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna close it in here and I'm gonna open up this application. I'm gonna move this to the side. Awesome. So this is, this is nothing new. You already know what this is. Okay. However, if you want to follow along, I have made this folder over here that actually contains 3 files. Well, a folder and 2 files. The first one is actually where the prompts are going to be in. I do have to give the context that the whole point is not to generate the same thing every single time within the prompts. Depending on how specific you are, or how broad you are, it might be interpreted in different ways, right? So in this particular scenario, it might make the same, it might make some variations in yours, so just keep that in mind if you don't see the same thing happening in your screen and my screen. So these are not like you have to do them in every specific order. I'm just going to try to go in this order when it comes to the second prompts. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is actually this folder here, but let's get started with the generation of this. Let me move this. Okay, I'm going to copy paste it. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create app. Oh, I didn't copy paste it. Never mind. Okay. Voila. Okay. I'm gonna say I want to build a customer churn risk dashboard with, this is the add resource. Here you have the basic pro customer data. That is the name that I had for my Stripe resource. I'll show you in a second. And what is it going to do? It's going to have a KPI at the top. I then want filters. And then I also want a table that has all the customers. And I want information like the latest invoice payment, the subscription status, and the risk score. Could take liberties and add more, add less. We'll see. And then I also wanted that when I click on it, it actually expands and it gives me like the subscription and the invoice table. I've also told it like what the risk score should be. So when it is at 0, it means that that is very good. That's very healthy. And then if it's at 100, well, that person's going to leave me soon. So yeah, I've outlined it like that. So I'm going to be explaining a little bit, but for now, I'm going to talk about the updated plan that I make. So it actually kind of goes step by step. Right now, it's put 4 steps in its task. The first one is going to connect to the Stripe resource, and it's going to check the schema. Then it's going to do the dashboard layout. Then it's going to follow up with the data flow, as well as the risk calculation logic, and then the detailed implementation steps. Especially when it gets to 4, it kind of starts expanding and it goes, oh, okay, so I'm going to deal with the static resources. I'm going to deal with like naming conventions, right? It's pretty cool because if you already have an application and you're like, hi, my names are like all over the place. Well, this is why you have this AI assistance on the side to make it better, to be more detailed. How do we have access to that? Well, you click over here and then it expands. I can also close it and then reopen it again. There you go. Still going to be calculating. So let's talk about the resource that I'm going to be using. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a new tab. And this is the resource. You might be familiar with this already, to be honest. This is nothing new to Retool or anything. But here I have my Asana, Slack, Stripe, even Confluence API set up. How do I do that? I go and create new resource. And then from there, I might be like, oh, I want Notion or I want Jira. No, I don't want that one right now, but I want the Stripe one. So I'll go here. And then it's just giving me a name, which is the reason why I chose Basic and Pro. The reason being is that in my customer data that I'll show you in a second, I actually have set up a payment of a subscription that is Basic for $29 and then the Pro for $99. My API key is going to be added in here. And this is my Stripe dashboard. As you can see, here I have my published and secret key. I particularly would do the secret key. And the reason why this is in test mode is because that's the only way to add fake data into your dashboard inside Stripe. If you use the real sandbox, you're only allowed to do it if you have like something that a customer has submitted for you or anything. So keep that in mind. That's one caveat here. So the research would end up looking something like this. Ta-da! Once you put it in, it like encrypts it on the server. Pretty cool. Okay, yes. So actually details like the types of usage and like which applications have I done it in. And if you have any questions, you can do like test connection. So let's go back and check before I continue on with the next things. Okay, right now, as I said, it did step number 4 and it has revised it to now do step 5. Cool. So let's go one by one. Made the connection, check. Then it did the design layout and the component hierarchy. My bad, let me expand this window. Okay. And then from here, it has selected the sort of theme in there. It has also done a wireframe saying where things should be in the same way that I can close this down. It also has a technical spec. There you have it. It's making a title, it's making the table. Oh, good. These are stuff that you can like drag and drop. And the cool thing is that depending if it's not like really interfering with a component that they're really interacting with, you can like do stuff at the same time. It's not preventing you from like, oh no, I can't do anything now. No, that's not a thing. Okay, so it has created the dashboard skeleton and the containers and the UI components. Right now, it is working on static properties and all components. Oh, and this is where I want to get. Voila, create Stripe queries for data retrieval. Right now, it is doing a get from the path of V1 customers, and I want to run this query. I will talk about other things in a second. That is why in the next following option, I'm actually going to just pre-authorize anything for this resource particularly. So I don't want to be like checking every single time just for time's sake. So run every query that has been related to that resource, and we're going to leave this. We can already see a couple of things be set up, like the high risk, medium risk, and low risk KPIs. It has the subscription status, it has the risk levels, and I can search. But there's no data, so I can't search. So cool. Let's go here. What data are we talking about? Well, we have the customers. And when I go inside, it gives me information like which plan are they on, which type of payments have been tried on, and then also like the default payment method. This is fake, don't worry. And then just any type of invoices that they might have paid, voided, or uncollected. This person has 2 uncollected. It's pretty bad. So what am I gonna go? I have over 50 customers that I have added in here. And I'm going to go into invoices. I can show you that I have some uncollected, I have some past due, some open. So there's a little bit of diversity here that should be reflected in the other space. And then same way, you also have the subscription, which right now it only shows the active. Same thing. There's a couple people who are on trial, some people who are active, some people who have canceled. So what I've made is actually, in the Google Drive, give you the ability to work on this data if you want. So this is a folder that I've made with a bunch of scripts like these. The reason being is that this CSV that you see here, the Stripe customer fake data, I think it's called .csv, only is able to have the names of the users and then also the email. But really, you can't add the payment information all at once. So for that, the first script is in charge of importing all the customers, then creating the products. So in this case, the basic and the pro subscriptions, then adding the payment methods. Those are the payment methods that you saw over there. I made it such a way that it has a diversity of card expiration dates, if you want to check that. I also made create product, create subscriptions, And then the subscription in this case would be the people subscribing, whether they're canceled, past due, activated, or anything. And then create invoices, right? If any of them have any uncollected, past due, open, unpaid, voided, etc., etc. If you just want to run this, then you can do run all setup. I did this all from the terminal, just connected to Strive CLI. I just put the key, the secret key, the same one over there. I also added the keys to every single one of them. So again, if anybody has any question or anything, this is the resource that we can have another conversation about and I can help you with. But that is how you have access to the same things that I'm going to be building on. Okay. So we're in step number 9. Let's go back to a couple of things. So over here, has made these queries. Don't worry about this. We'll figure it out as they go. Let's expand. Let's see what type of information have they gathered. Okay, here's a JSON file, and I can say, let me see, subscriptions, send invoice. Cool. Let me get the customers to see if this is actually working. Kimberly Thompson. Let's check that. Let's go to customers. Kimberly Thompson. Good. This is not an error. I was trying to test out something that I'm going to show you in a much, and an application that I built with AI assistants. It just took me longer and I was like more thinking about it. But I'll show you in a second. Okay. So they get customers query, they get subscription, they get invoices. Oh, we have pulled in some information. Awesome. Okay. So we can see right now it has detected the email. That's like the email tag. And I can actually go here and switch that. I'm like, I don't really like that this is a text. Okay. And then I can do a tag. Awesome. The description, the same thing. I'm like, I don't like it that it is nothing, like a string. I'm going to also do a tag. It's prettier. Okay, the risk levels I need to work on because they're all green. They should not all be green. And then the risk score is good for now. Okay, awesome. Can move this over here if I feel like it. And then we're connecting components to data source. Okay, soon actually it should make it so when I double click, it opens up this like new drawer that it has created. It has also done the calculations and the transformers. Where is this data existing? Well, I mean, like, isn't this is nothing new? It's just a different way of building inside the platform. So you should know where this is in the code tab. Okay, so you can go in and you can test out any type of resources here. You can check the transformers if you want to check anything. It's actually pretty detailed in the way that it is going about this type of building. So yeah, another thing here is the components, yes, and then the pages. I can actively like drag and drop things as this is happening. Like nothing will change. Let's say that I wanted to add that image. That image will stay. It won't just like refresh the entire thing and go. We can't do anything right now. Okay, let me close this here. Let me go back to the AI assistants. Okay, I was working on this. Let's check if this works. Let's do active. Awesome. The filters are working. Let's do risk, medium. Okay, a couple medium. Donald Allen. Awesome. And it even updates the KPI, which is pretty dope, actually. Okay. This is good to me. Should be done actually very soon. We're in step 11. Oh, we just finished. Voila. Awesome. So let's see. Hey, there we go. That's the double tap that I said about opening up this drawer, and it has information like the subscription and the invoices. Perfect. Let's do, I feel like doing the branding first. This is one of the capabilities that it has, and it's that you can make an app theme. We saw it actually in the presentation for the Retool Summit. They did it, but like with Spotify. If it's something really known, like you can just go ahead and tell it, hey, I want this to look like Santa Claus, or I want this to look like Coca-Cola, color-wise. I'm not saying that it's like all of a sudden going to change things, but hey, this is pretty good to me. I like these colors actually. Awesome. And if you wanted to change them organizationally wise, you can go over here, add theme, and then manage your organization themes. I won't do that right now, but that's where you got them. Awesome. So let's do this. I want to do, okay. Add to the customers table. That is this table over here. I'm giving the references because I want to work with that one specifically. Add to the customers table a card expiry column. Let's see how that works. Awesome. So now that we've done the app theme, let's work on this one once that column is called. And I can even ask for improvements. So this is something that I definitely want to check out. Or if you see any sort of issues, like here, I'm like, oh, some of the active, they don't have the cancellation tag. That might be because of the way that it is being processed in Stripe. It might just not be that intuitive. So, okay, we're having some card expirations here. Awesome. Oh, let's talk about like the different types of versioning and histories that you have the ability to do here. So if there's anything that I'm like, whoa, that was so wrong, like that is not even like what I was imagining, probably because it was too broad. If you want something specific, be specific, create a plan. You can click over here and revert back on that version. So let's see if it makes anything like really bad, and then we're like, let's go back. You can also create releases. So I'm like, I really like the fact of how it is right now. So I'm going to create a release here, and it would actually be saved over here, and you can like go back and refer to that. So that way you don't, this is really good when you do like source control. So if you keep working on it for a long time and you never save it, then some things might just be like too bad to go back and like fix, partially because you've been working on it for a while. That happens all the time with all types of software. So, okay, this seems to be good. Cool. If you also have any sort of like, I don't know, feedback that you want to give us, or if you believe that a certain prompt was really good, then you can thumbs up it. You can be like, yeah, uh, good generation. Helps with the team. This is still in a beta, so um, things to keep in mind. And I want to talk about these thread in history. So for that, I'm actually going to go home and show you the other application that I worked on. So this is something that I did when I had maybe a little bit more time and was like going crazy, going like, what can I build for you guys, right? And then I narrow it down in scope. Okay. So then I was like, cool, I have these high risk, medium, and low, and then I also want to see the total. I've created an alert that says like, this person is high risk, and the reason why, because they have, and this is all reasoning that it made for me, and that is constantly changing depending on like if I update that information per user. So these people have canceled subscriptions, and then this one has invoices marked as uncollected. Seems pretty bad. This is what we should be working on later on, which is just a table that allows us to see like the people whose cards are expiring soon. And then likewise, you can filter out by like draft, void. You can do payment status. There you go. If I double click on it, it has, let me make sure that this is all good before I continue. Okay, still working. Awesome. Um, oh, oh, I finished. Okay, so let's prompt to the next thing. So let's do the table that I just showed you. A table that displays the customers with expiring credit card date within the next 60 days. And then it shows the name, email card, expiries, and days until expiring, and then risk. Let's see how that goes. Okay. To go back to the other version, so I have made the subscriptions and the recent invoices, and it has pulled this information from here. And then I also did this sort of like risk assessment. It was actually something that I like prompted to create, and it made this analysis of when the card was expiring, when the next period is in, and then also the risk factors. Again, I would like to say this is data that I created that it is for you to utilize. And so I couldn't be as like all encompassing as I could, versus using real data, which is something 100% differently. um, so keep that in mind in terms of you're like, that's kind of weird. Why is that happening? I'm like, well, use your data. Your app is only as good as your data is. Facts. Okay. Here's actually why I was testing out my Gmail is because I wanted to create a query in order to, when I click that button, send an email with Retool email to notify me. Still working on it, so it's not working, and then count how many times have I sent that email. I even wanted to like put it in gray if it wasn't like, if the user had a very long way until the card expired. Again, things that I'm working on. Okay. Let's go here. Let's see how it's working. Okay, I made a title. Credit card is expiring soon. And then it is pulling some emails. Cards are masked, days until expire, and risk level. I'm gonna eliminate this doggy here because that was just to demonstrate that you can change things as the application is working. See, I can move this and it's not gonna go, oh, that was below. Now it needs to be down there or whatever. Um, if you guys are like, if I'm like, now that I see this table and if this is being done and I can be like, oh, I don't want this column anymore. I can hide it. What happened? Nothing, you know? I mean, it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it's like bad thing. Okay, so this card over here is not pulling it. So let's troubleshoot this. Be like, how do I troubleshoot this? Let me see. So the expiring card table is not showing anything. Use the column from, use the, what's the name of that column? Use the card expiry column from, what's the name of this? At customer table in order to determine those users whose card is expiring in the next 60 days. I think that's comprehensive. Might not be, might be something that I'm like missing in there. Hopefully it pulls it out. Either way, it's gonna generate this table. The next thing that I want to do if that thing doesn't work is actually I want to ask for some improvements. I want to be like, what would you recommend that we add or anything? And I think at this point, if you guys have any sort of questions, I'm going to start checking the chat or anything. I can do back and forth. I can do like, this is still working and as it's processing, I can answer some of the questions. So I'm gonna see what's up in here. Do we have visibility to the source code of the app? And that is saying, well, you can inspect the JavaScript and the SQL queries that Retool is writing, but in terms of the components and the source code of the ID, the UI, sorry, the Retool platform has an application layer to it. So yeah, it lets you forget about all the different components. But if you want to build like UI components, you can go over here, click here, and then you can do custom CSS, you can do custom components. So the answer is you can check the JavaScript and the SQL, the UI, question mark. You can build your own if you want to see any of them. Otherwise, just use the beautiful drag and drop. So this is not working. I will figure it out later, what's happening. But let's ask for some improvements. Okay. I like to go back and forth. Here's some like best advice that I might give you when prompting is that sometimes if you want the application to run faster and you're sort of working with the UI, well, okay, then ask it to do some mock data for you. And that's actually what I did when I was building out this one. I was like, I don't know what the UI should look like or anything, but I need to figure that out before I start like adding some complexity by adding the actual resource. I built it out and then I made the query to the Stripe resource and then made this. So the other one is that I like to separate out like the different things that I ask for. That is why like maybe in some of the information here, like maybe it didn't emphasize on the risk level and it being color coded and I just put all of them green. But if the ask was being done separately, then it would be more specific. I'll give more advice in a second. Let's do the improvements here. So it is saying, let's do revenue impact. I like that one. Let's do revenue impact. And yeah, that seems good to me. Okay. Let's see what it comes up with. This is moments where I can go back and then revert back like the version to work with that previous. I'm gonna thumbs down this one and be like, nothing happened. Just be honest. Okay, another question. How do I know that Retool isn't going to run incorrect queries on my database and mess up my data? So all queries that assist is going to run are presented to the user first. And that is actually what happened. It's just I decided to pre-approve them all just to like deal with the time and everything. So yes, if you're feeling confident, pre-approve them. If not, then go check them each one at a time. Up to you. Okay. Um, I'm trying to see if anybody has any other questions. I'm just reading in here. Mm. Oh, it seems like I answered the other question with that question, which was the custom code base to migrate to my app. Mm. Yes. Okay. Again, any questions? Drop it in. The revenue impact. Cool. Pulling some numbers in here. Let's see what point is it in. So this is something that if I want, I can like move around. I'm like, maybe I want to see this at the beginning. Maybe I'm like, I don't want to see the other things. Oh, my bad. Let's move it in here. Maybe I'll put this down here. Choices, up to you. I'm still checking if anybody has anything. Okay. Oh, there's a new one. Does Assist work for building workflows and agents? Not yet. We are currently working on bringing Assist to more areas of the Retool product. Stay tuned. Okay. Still adding some revenue analysis. I need to figure you out. Okay. Do we need both OpenAI and Anthropic related Retool managed keys when we're on self-hosted business plan to enable the AI assistance, or is it just one provider key sufficient? You don't need any keys unless you're on self-hosted, so Retool will usually manage your keys for you. But if you have any sort of relationship with a single AI provider, you can just insert that key in and Retool will work with it behind the scenes. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is the total revenue risk. Hey, we said if $1 million and then $400,000 were lost on that churn, we're losing on the 0.7% of this company's business, $256. I can buy a lot of money with $256. Okay, I am. No, I don't see any other questions. Let me see. What else can I do? Oh, the subscription status. I can see that some of them are blank. Um, in the, okay, this is the last thing I will do, and then I'll mention a couple resources that we have available for you guys. In the customers table, we have the subscription status column, not showing something. If they are canceled, make a tag for that. Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me see. I'm reading other questions. So how LLM's behavior is monitored and guarded in terms of securing user logs, cache, input, and output. Well, Retool has actually a pretty comprehensive like audit logging, which will show you information about any AI queries that are running inside of Retool applications. Somebody can give you a link if you are interested in this sort of thing. But yeah. The other question is, can the AI assistants also work on existing apps, perhaps improving them before applying the changes? Is it possible to view and accept them, or is it just automatic? Well, the assistants can absolutely improve existing apps. It can show and explain how an application is working and talk about how the queries are all connected and even suggest some improvements. But if at any point you see anything that the changes are being made and you're saying, I can revert. I can actually like let's revert back in this one. Like this one that just is running here. I went back. It's no problem. It really allows you to like be very experimental, and they're there for you to have full control of rather than like letting it just run loose and everything. So that's why I say do things step by step rather than like compounding them together. So then that way it's easier to version them and to create releases. And the reason is that I can actually go back in my history here and I can create new threads at the same time. So whenever it's kind of getting like a little bit lazy with the sort of information that it's pulling, just create a new thread and then start working it. It almost like refreshes that memory. If I'm saying, oh, I want this one to be about my apathy, I can rename the thread. Makes it very easy to follow. Awesome. So yes, let me show you actually a couple of resources that we have available just for before we wrap up this whole thing. And here it is. So, I mean, you saw Keenan yesterday, but myself, we make some sort of videos from time to time in our YouTube channel that demonstrate just how we can help you with building, like either with our resources, with some getting started, or any sort of part that you're kind of wondering about soon, very upcoming. I'm personally going to be releasing some about queries, some about workflows, and even like forms and user input. But if you're like, I am a decision maker and I want to show my company like some customer stories, we have that. Let's say that you want to read the documentation, we have that. We also have some demos for agents. It's right there. And then from time to time we do these webinars, so you never miss out. Okay, I'm gonna answer another question that I saw here. Let's see. Sorry if I missed this, but did the AI agent determine the risk score based on the data available in the Stripe resource, or did you ask the risk for? Oh, okay. So I actually just told it what the risk score evaluation should be, but that was something that like you can let it like have it determined by yourself. This is the choice that I made. And let's do, yeah, just post on the chat. See how this went. If you liked it, if you did not like it, that would be great. We would just love to know how you think this section went. I'm personally gonna say I loved it, but I'm not biased at all.
I also loved it, Angelique. Well, thanks everyone. I don't know if there's any other questions that we're going to answer. I think we're at the end of the questions. Please make sure you vote for the poll. Let us know what you thought. Tons of resources in the chat, and I will be posting a recap with all the links in the community forum. It's community.retool.com. And yeah, that was an amazing session. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at the same time. Thank you, Angelique.
See ya.